Good afternoon and welcome to Tennessee River Park. I'm here with Reverend Doug Worth, and my name is Shannon Le Brun. Hey Doug, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, just all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of stuff, I know.
Some of which I can talk about.
Yeah, some of which, yeah. Actually, we were recording, and we thought we were live a little while ago. We recorded pretty much 7 minutes worth of talk.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we realized that
We weren't live.
We weren't live. So we're live now.
All right.
Definitely.
So we're going to play catch up.
We're going to play catch up. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So we're here out in Tennessee River Park in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm here with Reverend Doug Worth from Unity of Chattanooga. And
Beautiful day.
beautiful.
You know, just absolutely gorgeous. So it's nice to be here. It's nice to be able to talk about all kinds of stuff. And
Yeah.
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 It's cool.
Yeah. So what do you do this week, Doug? What do you got going on this week?
What have I got going on?
Yeah, what do you got going on? What did you do? I mean, we had a church service on Sunday.
Right.
So what's been going on? The last time I saw you was Sunday. So what's
Well-
been going on since Sunday?
Well, I guess Sunday was a highlight for me. It was great to see some people that I haven't seen in a long time. And the other thing, I did a little bit of the platform assistant work on Sunday.
Right.
And it was so nice. One of the portions that I would do is an opening prayer.
Right.
And it was so nice to be able to do that prayer and have Lori come underneath it with music. And I can tell you that makes all the difference in the world.
And who Doug is referring to is Lori O'Shea,
Lori O'Shea.
which is Steve O'Shea's wife. And she was here with Doug, and I'm sorry,
yeah.
with
Sean.
Sean. I get a little excited. You guys know
Yeah,
how I
it's all
am.
right.
I get a little excited. She was here. Lori was here with Sean,
Right.
and she was the visiting musician for us on
Yeah,
Sunday.
yeah.
And that was a great service, man. Oh my God.
I totally enjoyed it. And you know, I've done services over the air a few times. We've pre-recorded them, send them to you, you broadcast them.
Right.
And we get some nice responses from that, but there is nothing like being together with people.
Yeah.
I know for me, when I'm doing a service and pre-recording it, it's scripted,
Right.
You know, and I, try to put some laughter, some tears, some emotion into it.
Of course.
But when there's people here, it makes all the difference.
It changes the dynamic.
And you can be a little more spontaneous, and
Yeah.
every now and then something will come up that you didn't anticipate at all.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Sean had an interesting thing when he was talking on Sunday. At one point in time, you could see him just kind of almost misty-eyed and
Yeah.
said, "Oh, those were God bumps."
Yes. Yes.
And I can tell you, I have had those experiences when I'm doing it in a
Live setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure if you observed it, but I observed Reverend Fayann tear up a little bit during that the tithe and offering portion of the service. My God,
I thought Fayann did a great job.
she did a wonderful job. And that music in the background, it just, oh my God, like you said,
Yeah.
it was a tearjerker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good.
So I really had a good time. You stepped up to the plate with the prayer. That was
Well,
wonderful.
Yeah, well, it's part of the opening that a platform assistant will do. Years ago, when I was the minister here, we used to start with a song, and then the song would kind of just fade, and I'd get up and do a prayer in the middle of
Okay.
that song, and then back off, and we'd sing the tail end of it, and that was always just it was a beautiful way to start it.
Yeah.
And the music and the prayers, and
Yeah.
it's great.
And what about the amount of people we had? I mean, we had about 25 people here.
I didn't do a nose count, but the place was full.
Well, I did a nose count because it's kind of like my
'Cause that's
job to
what
make-
you do,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it was about 25 people here, and and we had about maybe 5 new people.
That's great.
I think that's terrific.
Now you did you check the Facebook afterwards as to how many people were watching us?
Yeah, I did check afterwards, and we had quite a few people watching. Not as many as we normally have, and I think that's because most of them were here.
That's cool.
But we did have people from out of state that can't join us, that wasn't able to join
Nice.
us, that was watching.
Nice.
But we had like 5 new people, some of which we had, I think, Steve and Gloria Hastings was here. Did you get a chance to meet?
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with both of them. Wonderful people.
Yeah.
And, he's done a lot with music. And
Yeah,
things, and
yeah. I wanted to tap him on the shoulder and get him to join the AV really quickly, but I said, let me just be a little, reserved,
Right.
and not just try to pull him in so quickly. But it looked like they really enjoyed the service, and we had some people come out from I think Cleveland, Tennessee. Yeah.
Joanne and Alan Bullard.
Did you meet them?
I may have.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but I am horrible with names and faces. I can recognize faces, putting names with them, and my lovely wife is perfect at that.
She does that. Yeah, she does a really good job.
She's great with that. I struggle with it.
I'm sure I met the Bullocks also. I'm sure I did. I'm like you. I don't remember.
Right.
But I appreciate them being here, and I hope that they come back. And that's one of the things about being when I'm like involved in an activity like this. I tend to focus so much on the activity that everything else that's going on around me it tends to get lost. Well, and I usually get a little excited about what I'm doing, and like I am now, and I just kind of forget everything,
Well,
and I think
it's a focus.
Real quick, and I think that's what we're going to talk about today is how to maintain that spiritual focus, while things are happening in our lives,
That's true. It's a matter of where do we put our attention, and how do we choose to live our lives, and for most of the time with guys, we tend to focus a little bit narrower. My lovely wife, 15 things can be going on, and she'll be in all. She understands it all.
Yeah.
Me, no.
Right.
Whatever's in front of me.
Yeah.
But I think what you're talking about is how do we maintain a spiritual practice in the middle of our busy day?
Exactly. Exactly.
And with all the things that are going on in our lives,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And in my experience and the life experience that I've had, it was a matter of shifting what I was doing to the point that the spiritual practice was the main focus. And I can remember I was in meditation one time, and I was asking a question, and the question was, which way do I go? Do I stay in business? And I was running manufacturing plants at the time. I was plant manager, general manager, whatever you want to call it. Do I stay in business with a nice income to support the family and all that, or do I go into ministry?
Right.
And as I looked at ministry, I didn't see the income side of it, which scared me.
Right.
To be honest with you, and in meditation, you tend to get answers, especially if it's a prayer and a meditation kind of combined. You go to that place where you're asking Spirit, you're asking your guides, which way do I go? And oftentimes, they won't tell you. They'll simply ask you a question. In other words, it's got to be your choice, but they can facilitate it.
You say your guides?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, have you ever had a question and about which way to go in your life, or a big decision coming up?
Of course.
And you sit there and you say, okay, which way do I go? And sometimes you say, okay, God, what's going on?
Right.
Something like. And then you'll get a thought. A thought will come in, and you ponder that a little bit, and maybe you say, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's what I think I'll do. Or you'll get a thought and you'll say, nope, not going that way.
I see.
All right.
Right.
So oftentimes you'll see a number of different ways to go, and then you'll learn you will choose one. All right. That's what we call guidance.
Okay.
And for me, the more that you get into a spiritual practice, the more prayer and meditation and just reflecting on things. It's a quieter life, at least it has been for me. What tends to happen is you tend to get this stream of thoughts. Now, if I told you it was a voice, there'd be a lot of people out there that would say, "Oh, God, the guy's hearing voices in his head. He's nuts. He's crazy."
Right.
You know, that
It's
sort of thing.
Moccasin Ben where I used to work.
And a lot of people are like that.
Right.
But, and I'll tell you a funny story here in a minute about that. But after a while, what you realize is that there is a consistent thought that has a feeling connected with it, and that feeling, is correct. You know that that's the right way to go, and it's more of a thought than it is a voice, and that's what we call our guidance.
I understand.
Oftentimes, if you're looking for something like that, make sure that you set it up such that it's the highest and the best, not only for yourself, but for everyone else. Okay? We say focus on God, focus on Jesus, focus on the highest, that you can think of, because that's the energy you're going to tune to. It's kind of like tuning a radio. If you want to listen to rock and roll, you don't turn on the country western station. If you want the highest guidance for yourself and others, tune to the best, focus your attention in that direction. But anyways, to go back to the story of that one meditation, it was, do I stay in business,
Right.
or do I go into the ministry? And the answer that I got was, which one do you love?
Wow.
And I said, well, the ministry,
Of course,
and that
yeah.
sort of thing. And the thought immediately came was, what else do you need to know? And very quickly, I said, well, what about the money?
Of course.
Okay.
That's a concern. Yeah.
We got
that's a
six
concern,
figures
yeah.
over here, and
Exactly.
we got seminary with nothing over here.
Right.
How's this going to work?
Right.
And we had a nice house, we had a mortgage, we had car payments, we had all that kind of stuff. And the answer that I got was, follow me. And and it was kind of funny because I kept asking the question, well, how's the money going to work? Follow me. How's the money going to work? And finally, this thought, it was almost like somebody clearing their throat. It was like, who do you think you're talking to?
Wow.
And Shannon, I can tell you, I went into the ministry, and we can talk about miracles.
Wow.
But
It's been.
we never, between Penny and myself, we never missed a beat.
Wow.
We never had an overdue payment. We didn't get rich by any means. That wasn't the purpose of
Right.
it. But we always had everything that we needed.
Wow.
And we were also tithers, at the time. But I was very sincere about the ministry and going in a spiritual direction. And what I mean by that is that your spiritual practice needs to become pretty much everything you're doing throughout the day.
Well, let's identify that. Let's identify it for our viewers' purposes, because we are for the purpose of this broadcast, we are in a midweek faith lift, right? And we're
Right.
offering our viewers something to do to uplift their spirits throughout the week, right?
Sure.
And last week we identified something that they can do
Right.
on a regular basis to uplift their spirit. And one of the things that we identified, what you identified, was reading the daily word on a daily basis, right?
Right.
And so what are we going to identify today? What are you suggesting, or what are you giving our viewers to put into their toolbox that they can do on a regular basis to uplift themselves, to focus, to get that connection? Because like I said, a lot of us, like myself, we're dealing with a lot of chatter going on in our heads,
Sure.
dealing with stuff that's going on in the world on a regular basis, and we need something to help us to remain centered.
Well, I think the key again is, what do we focus on?
Right.
What sort of input are we bringing into our consciousness?
Of course. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, I think there's a few things. Number one, be careful about what you pay attention to.
Okay.
If you're watching the news every night and
Okay.
just absolutely absorbed with it, I think most of us know these days that the news channels are they're political, and they're very polarized. And a lot of that stuff just leaves you very anxious. That's not the sort of thing that's going to get you a spiritual connection. You get all tied up. So be careful what you pay attention to, especially with the TV, especially with the people that you hang out with.
Wow. Wow. Boom.
Well, I
Boom.
mean, just be careful of that.
Right. Why do we need to be careful of that? What's happening? What are you saying is happening? Is there a dynamic that's happening when we're around people that, like, why do we need to be careful? I mean, I know this already, but you know, sometimes you have to talk like you're a 2-year-old, Doug. You have to explain things, not talk like you're a 2-year-old, but you have to explain yourself like you're talking to a 2-year-old, only for the purpose of helping people really understand this stuff, because it's beneficial. Trust me.
Your mind is almost like a tape recorder. Okay, what comes in and what you allow in forms a tape. Okay, and then it comes back out. And what you think also affects what you feel. All right, your feelings are a mirror of your thoughts. So if you're constantly anxious, if you're watching stuff that, and I mean, even the Weather Channel these days.
Boom!
Is talking about, what cyclone hit in what part of the world and how bad it was and all. And if you focus on that stuff, then your feelings are going to reflect that, and you're going to be anxious most of the time. And so when we talk about the daily word, it's a quiet, easy, connected way to start your day, and then, as much as possible, how do we stay in that? So again, it's what you focus on.
Okay. Let me just be. Okay. So we're talking about we're gonna make sure that we read the daily word regularly, okay, and then we're gonna
start your day with it.
We're gonna start our day with that.
Yeah.
That's something that we're inputting into our brain, into our mind, into our soul, into our spirit, right? And then we're gonna focus. Let's just pay attention this week on what we are allowing into our perception. And you mentioned television. Let's write those things down. Let's write down some of the stuff that's coming into our perception. Let's look at, like, okay, television is one thing. The news, people that we're hanging around, the kind of people that we're hanging around.
Exactly.
The type of people.
Exactly.
What about what are the kind of things that we need to be careful of? People, television. What about food? The kind of food that we're eating. Well, does that have anything to do with how we feel?
I think it has a lot to do with our health.
Okay, but what about how we feel biologically? Come on, man. I mean, if you're eating a Whopper every day or Big Mac, and I'm not criticizing anyone, but...
Well, I got to tell you, when I was running manufacturing plants, Snickers bars, Dr. Peppers, cheeseburgers for lunch, and... I'm 40 pounds lighter now. Right. And I've got cleaner arteries. Okay, thanks to the doctors.
Right. But I'm sure you're taking responsibility now for what you're inputting.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Did
that affect your mood? Did that affect how you felt about yourself?
Well, I think retirement had a lot to do with that. But even when you're this is important. This is an important thought. No matter what you're doing, no matter what kind of work you have, I used to run manufacturing plants, and so the things that nobody else could handle would land on my desk. Okay, how do that sort of thing. How do you approach the stresses and the strains of everyday living, of the job that you do, of the kids, the disagreement with your spouse? How do you handle those things in such a way that it doesn't take your stress levels sky high?
Right.
How do you do that? Well, one of the ways to do it is be quiet and still in the morning when you start your day. Take a breath during these things.
Right.
I can tell you that many, many times when I was running manufacturing plants, I would slip off into the men's room, close the stall door, take a breath, and just in a quiet moment say, okay, God, how do I handle this one?
Right.
How do we go forward? And that's called being centered. And so what I would encourage people to do is, no matter what's going on in your life, many times we can't control the situations that confront us, but what we can control is how we react to it. And so take a breath, and some of the evangelicals had a phrase, "What would Jesus do?" And that's a good one. I have used that myself. And oftentimes I'll just step back for a minute and say, "Okay, God, how do I handle this?" I'll give you an example. It used to be when I'm driving in traffic and I need to get someplace, and somebody cuts you off and then stands on the brakes, and I'd get really upset. That doesn't bother me too much anymore. I'll just back off. Now I might hit the horn if it's almost a near accident, but I'll just back off and just know people are people, and I'll take it easy. I'll be fine. That's being centered in every part of the day. I think one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning or this afternoon, just a little bit, is that there are ways during the week that you can continue to help yourself stay centered. In the Unity practice, we have what are called SEE classes, Spiritual Education and Enrichment. And oftentimes those courses are online. Many times they're with a church. And so if rather than watching TV and watching the news and getting all wound up with that stuff, take an SEE course. They're usually based on books that you can read at your leisure. And so rather than focusing on things that get your adrenaline going, focus on things that are of a spiritual nature, that are uplifting, common sense. A lot of what Unity is, in my opinion, is common sense and stuff that you'd find in a psychological perspective. So the SEE courses are well worth it. There are similar organizations to Unity. One of them is Religious Science, another one's Divine Science, and they have courses also.
Right.
So if you want to look around a little bit and say, well, this one, these kind of courses from this source I really like, and these courses from this source are good also. And I'll give you an example. When Penny and I were living in Seattle, there was a religious science church just on the other side. We were over in Bellevue. We went to the Unity Church in Bellevue, but there was a religious science, CSL it was called, Center for Spiritual Living, on the other side of town. And I took as many courses over there as I did with the Unity Church. They were really good at what they did, and they had a little bit different twist on it. You'd be familiar with some of the same concepts, but they just presented it a little bit different. And so one of the things that you can do to stay centered and to continue to develop a spiritual practice in your life is focus on what you're focusing on. Don't allow the junk in. And what you want to constantly be programming yourself with is the highest and the best that you can find.
Yeah. And so with that said, just to be clear, we got that daily word that we're doing on a regular basis. We're paying attention to what we are allowing in.
Exactly.
And we need to stay away from stuff that is negative, stuff that can put us in a negative state, put us in an anxious state. Stuff like the news, stuff like the Weather Channel. People that are always, got that negative kind of attitude.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying be uninformed.
Okay.
Right. I'm not saying, blow it all off. But just watch your feelings.
Of course.
In other words, if you're watching something and you're getting all wound up, just realize that.
This is probably not a good thing for me to be watching. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah.
The attitude changes when I watch Cops.
Yeah.
When I watch Cops or when I watch the first 48, I'm serious. Those are some shows that I love to watch. You know, I watch those shows sometimes, and when I turn off the television, I'm a little bit more vigilant.
Well,
And it raises my awareness about who's outside, I got my cameras on a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm looking in my cameras a little bit more around the house. You know what I mean?
Well,
and so that causes a little anxiety, and so I need to be careful about
think
that.
about the other side of that. Now, I don't watch those shows,
Right.
Okay, but I know people that watch shows like that,
Right.
And so I look at them and I said, "What did you just see for an hour?"
Right.
You saw murder,
Yes.
Okay. You saw all burglaries.
Right.
You saw violent behavior. You saw people getting killed.
Right.
You saw lying,
Right.
cheating.
Yeah.
Is that what you want in your life?
Right.
Because that's
It's
what
what-
you just put in there.
I was involved in a 12-step. I'm involved in a 12-step program.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they say is people, places, and things. You got to be careful of people, places, and things. Those people that you hang around, that you used to hang around when you were using
Right,
drugs or
right,
alcohol,
right.
the things that you did that were negative when
Right.
you were out there, and the people, places, and things. And the places that you went to. Like certain places kind of
Right.
made you think about getting high, using drugs, and so it's important to stay away from those things. So
You
that's
know,
exactly what you're saying, and
that-
what you're putting in.
Exactly. What do you allow in?
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is the rate when people are released from prison.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very high rate that they'll go back into prison.
They call it the recidivism.
Yeah, it began with an R. I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
quite think of it. Okay. The reason for that is they go back to the same place, the same people,
Yeah, same.
the same behavior that got them in trouble in the first time.
That's the one thing that I love about Unity. Unity is about, like Unity of Chattanooga, the Unity movement,
Right,
period,
right.
is about personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
Personal responsibility. For a long time, I waited and waited and waited for something to happen. And I learned it, through Unity. No, you have to do the work.
You do.
You have to do the work.
You do.
And it's not easy. You talked about that last week. You talked about, what's his name? Charles Fillmore, this
Right.
babble and going to headquarters. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It takes a while. It takes practice.
But you know what?
But the practice, if you continue to do it day after day after day, it gets easier. And before you know it,
It's a habit, and then it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's the tidbit for today.
Yeah.
The interesting thing you just said is you remembered from last week what we talked about with Fillmore and the babble thing.
Yeah.
Those are the more that you pay attention to good speakers like we've had many of them here, and you pick up this and you pick up a little bit of that, and then pretty soon
The good stuff.
that's what's playing in your
Your
head.
Yeah.
And that's the way you're going to go.
And if you're picking up negative stuff, that's what's playing in your head.
That's what's
and
going
that's
on
what's
too.
gonna and that's the way you're gonna go.
Yeah.
So people, places, and things. Listen, I'm so grateful for you, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you are here with us.
Well, it's
at Unity
nice
of
to be here.
Chattanooga. I'm so grateful that you decided to take responsibility for your health. Hey.
Well, I didn't have much of a choice with
You didn't have a
that.
choice. Yeah.
Of course, you could blow it off. I will tell you one thing. When for those of you who don't know, I had a heart attack about a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is the doctor, when it was all said and done, said it was just a plumbing problem. Your three major arteries were kind of clogged, kind of 80 to 90%. But you got a good pump. So that's the good news.
Right.
But I can tell you, right after that, during the recovery process, I think I mentioned before, the candy bars, the Dr. Peppers, the cheeseburgers, all of that just ceased. And my weight has dropped. I'm feeling really good, and all the regular things. When they do a blood test, they check your cholesterol, your A1C, all of that stuff has gone from the yellow and kind of on the red mark.
Wow.
Every bit of it has gone back over. And a lot of that, again, it's self-awareness. It's focus. It's what we talk about. And with that, with better information, with better things that you focus on, pretty soon that becomes a behavior.
Yeah.
That becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about
Yeah.
here.
We're talking about changing the lifestyle, staying focused on positive things, staying connected to God.
Exactly.
You know, and I know for me, just, you know, I'm doing those spiritual practices on a regular basis. Life begins to get a lot easier, and life has gotten life has gotten so much easier as a result of practicing those things on a regular basis.
You know, and even when those situations get
come up
dicey,
yeah,
okay.
I mean, I just walk over them with a breeze. It's so easy.
You take a breath and you say, "Okay, God, what do I do now?
What do you want me to do?"
Yeah,
yeah.
But
when it's chaos and I'm consuming all that junk that we talked about, the news and
then you get wild too.
Oh my God.
Me too.
The dogs are like, "What the hell's wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you?" You know, and that's because I've been consuming a lot of junk.
Right.
Physical junk sometimes, which can be the food for me, and also the mental stuff that I allow to come into that perception. You know, so yeah, we have to take responsibility, man.
Well, you know, every parent knows, you know, if you give the kids candy bars and ice cream and give them sodas and all that, man, you wind them up like crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, that sugar hit.
Yeah.
So, you know, we know about those
We
things.
have so much work to do on ourselves. I mean, I shouldn't say we have so much work, but we have a lot of responsibility to take for ourselves. You know, we don't really have to, I don't really, if I really decided to take responsibility for myself, I won't have so much time to do all the other junk.
Well, if you do take responsibility for yourself, then you're sooner or later you're going to realize
that other stuff,
this isn't doing me any good.
This is
the way I want to
Exactly.
go.
Exactly. Yeah. You got it. Yeah. Listen, I want to thank all the people that came out on Sunday. I just want to give Mona Petro was out. We had Lynn and John Chartier were here.
Yeah,
they were here.
Sherry Shoemaker, an old friend of mine from years ago. It's beautiful to see her.
Mm-hmm.
Eva and Tony Carter were here.
Yeah.
Again, some old friends that I knew.
I met her. This is the first time I met Tony. Does Tony come to the service a lot? I don't think I've ever seen him before. This is
well, I can't really comment because I haven't been around for a while, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it was good seeing them. It was the first time
great.
I met Tony. He seems like a great guy. So
yeah, fabulous.
Yeah. And Roger was here. Now, how do you pronounce Roger's last name?
Rahor.
I saw him at Public a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I think he's a military vet, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We had a good conversation at Public, and we talked about services online, and he was like, "I don't want to do that stuff online." So we had our first in person. He was definitely here, and it was good to see Roger here with us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we had Audrey Ramsey here.
Yeah. Yep. Nice to see Audrey.
And Joyce Youngblood joined us.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a few people out.
Yeah.
And I just want to, again, just thank Sean O'Shea and Lori for coming out last week.
I thought they did a great job.
Yep.
And
like I said, we had five new people who pretty much joined us. Some people came as far as Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah. So
that was nice. We're growing, man.
Yeah.
We're growing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, we're definitely growing.
It's a good thing.
So I'm excited about that.
So I think you've not to switch gears.
No,
but
go ahead. Switch gears.
I think we've got more in-person services coming up.
Yeah. We have another in-person service scheduled for August 29th.
Okay.
And we're going to do it again here.
Yeah.
At Tennessee River Park in Chattanooga, Tennessee. August 29th at 11 o'clock, 11 Eastern. We're going to try it again. We're not going to try it. We're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, and this time we're going to ask Doug.
I was going to say, I know the speaker.
We're going to ask Doug to come out and speak for us. So I'm excited about that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
So I'm excited about that. And so, yeah. Listen, if you want to make a donation to what we're doing out here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, I'm going to put up a way for you to donate. Let me take that down for a second. I'm going to put... I'm learning this stuff for the first time, so not the first time, but just learning new ways to communicate with everyone. So you can actually mail your donations to us. We accept donations for the podcast that we're putting on a regular. We're going to do this on a regular basis, and also just to spread the ministry that we have here in Chattanooga. The board has been talking about the idea of going out to the shelters here in Chattanooga and just talking to the people about
Oh, really?
what we're doing, and giving out some of our outreach material.
Okay.
And inviting them to our service.
Well,
this is a self-help. This is
right along with that, just as an idea, you might consider having a day where members are in service.
wow.
It would, in other words, it would go both ways. We serve for the reason of serving. Okay, and then maybe on another day, then we talk about what we do and that.
What do you mean we serve? Explain that a little bit more,
Well,
please.
there are times when you can go to these places and be of service one
Okay.
way or another.
Okay, I
Sometimes
understand.
it's feeding, sometimes it's other things.
Okay, yeah. So that we're definitely talking about the idea of going out to the shelters and just kind of giving information about the church to people, seeing if they want to, come out, and if there's a way that we can support them in any way,
Yeah,
So,
that's the idea.
yeah. So that's something that we want to do. But yeah, I mean, if you want to make a donation to our community, you can mail a donation to P.O. Box 4949, Chattanooga, Tennessee. You can also donate by going to our webpage, www.unityofchattanooga.org and /donate. Write that in, and you can donate what you want: $1, $2, $5, $100, whatever you like to give. We also a couple $1,000. Yeah. We also have we're on Cash App now. I don't know if you. I don't
know what that is.
I know you don't know what Cash App is, but we're on Cash App. I got to school Doug about the new stuff, the new technology, but we're on Cash App, and you can download that from the Play Store. And you can just, send us $5, $10 if you like, and that'll help us out a little bit.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah. So we appreciate all that you guys are doing for us, and
Yeah, see you next week.
we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.